seen the before and after pictures, you know there's a little bit of a miracle that has taken place with the planning, the redesign, the quality work that's gone in to making not only this a great house, but potentially a terrific home for somebody, some very lucky family, of whom I am jealous, by the way, Mr. Mayor, that some lucky family is going to be able to move into this home. And what's wonderful about that is not just for this family, but for this whole neighborhood, being able to take a property that has been an eyesore, that has been, as we've seen, off the tax rolls, potential public safety risks, as we've seen abandoned properties around not just New Bedford, but the whole state. And being able to, as we are today, seeing what we've been able to do with some investment and turn it around to make it a home is terrific. We've dealt with now 48 properties in New Bedford. We've had similar success with partnerships with TRI, with the mayor, with other of the many players who have worked to get these properties, identify the owners, make sure that we can get the court approval if we need it, but then to move forward with the redesign and keeping the wonderful lines of the house, but making it a modern home on the first floor that's going to be really available and accessible for some lucky family, as I said. So I'm delighted to be here. We know that we are still coming out of a very tough recession after Wall Street took a lot of money and gambled with it and lost it. And in fact, we still battle every day when we can to keep people in their homes, to get loan modifications if that's going to work. But when that doesn't work and when people are foreclosed upon or those homes are abandoned, we've also worked, including very frequently with Mayor Mitchell in New Bedford, to say, let's get those properties back on the tax rolls. Let's make them homes again. And let's show the neighborhood that as tough as this recession has been, there's some very concrete ways that we can get moving again. Your mayor's done a terrific job in moving New Bedford forward. I'm happy to work with him on so many projects, including this one today. So with that, it's my honor to introduce your mayor, John Mitchell. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, everybody. This is a very happy day for me. I've been driving by this house for a long time. And it has been an eyesore for a long time, and it's here on Cottage Street, in a very prominent place right on the corner. And in the 2.5 years that I have been mayor, I've driven by it even more frequently because City Hall's right there and my house is sort of right over there. And it's one of these properties you say, well, it must have been grand in the day. And you look at the stone wall and think that, well, there was some real craftsmanship there, but the house is all grown over with weeds, and you think, boy, the neighborhood would do very well by having this thing turned around. So I'm here to say, more than anything else, Martha, we love what you've done with the place.
But I can't keep it.
Right. You cannot keep it. I'm sorry, you're ineligible for the first-time homebuyer program. However, somebody will be the lucky owner of this place. And more than anything else, the receivership program is a response to the foreclosure crisis that we had in 2008 all across America, that played out in neighborhoods like this one, where abandonment and foreclosure have had enormous ripple effects. And so the receivership team here in New Bedford, with folks from my office, Liz Tredup, folks from the Office of Housing and Community Development, Pat Sullivan's shop, our planning department, Jill McLean, developers like TRI, you'll hear from Teresa in a moment, and working with the Attorney General's office led by Steve Marshallek here, take a granular look at properties around the city to figure out which ones we need to invest in, which ones should be redeveloped in a way that'll be catalytic in the neighborhood. In as much as this is a corner lot, it is a cornerstone of the neighborhood. These corner lots matter a lot, especially when you have a house that is as prominent as this, as architecturally distinct as this. This is going to help the neighborhood enormously. It won't play out in a matter of weeks. It'll play out over a matter of years, but it matters. This is a development. This is a very effective, cost-effective use of public funds, both city and state and otherwise, and private funds that will allow this neighborhood to rejuvenate itself. So we've had a lot of successes with this program over the last few years. And Martha, I just want to say thanks so much for lending your support and your leadership here. Martha and I Martha and I are career prosecutors. I know you want to remind everybody of that these days. But you know what? I can tell you there's a certain sensibility there, and that is, even though as prosecutors we're used to sort of breaking down cases and analyzing things and parsing things, this is an opportunity to build, and that's what's fun about it. To restore not just a house but an entire neighborhood as part of an entire city, and therein, you know, lies a great deal of gratification, not just for us but our teams that work so well together. So I want to thank everybody here. There are too many folks to thank. This really is a team effort. I want to thank TRI, Teresa, for all of your hard work and playing, you know, the vital role as the private sector gap filler here, the one that ultimately makes everything go. You guys have done a great job with so many properties in the city, and I would just ask you to come up and say a few words about this particular property and the work of your team.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell. Thank you, Attorney General Coakley. TRI has been working in New Bedford for about 5 years and has had the privilege of working with some of the most effective teams for housing and housing rehabilitation and restoration that you would find in any part of the state, probably further. We have found it a real privilege to be in a place where history, culture, and architectural beauty are, for the most part, New Bedford has more of that in a single property than many communities have in an entire city. So it has really been an honor for us to be working here. TRI is a small piece of the team that puts these buildings together and brings these houses back to life. There's a few people, short of sounding like the Academy Awards, there's a few people that we really do need to be focused on. Pat Sullivan's office with Lori and David have just done a remarkable job at helping us find properties, working with us, and getting us into the community and in places that we enjoy being. Steve Marshallek, the AG's office guys have pulled it together. They've turned a receivership program that was some places and not others into something really substantial in this community, and we really appreciate their work. Bruce Ehrlich from MHIC is often an unsung hero in this. Mass Housing Investment Corp has played a huge role throughout the city, and particularly in help with this project and other ones that we're working on currently. The mayor's office has been great. We have a couple of people in particular on the project hands-on that we'd like to thank. Michael Galasso and Jill O'Neill from TRI have done a remarkable job. And John Sari is our go-to man on pretty much everything, all things construction. And we really like to give our thanks to him as well. A+ Construction has done a beautiful job and has done a lot of the projects in town. So we are thrilled to be a part of it, hope to continue, and thank you very much for the opportunity. We really enjoy it.
Well, we like working with you, too. One interesting historical note, somebody just mentioned that the builders of this were also builders of boats. And as New Bedford does have that wonderful history of whaling, I know the Morgan was in not too long ago, but the builders of this were building ships. And you can see the quality of the work if you look in. That craftsmanship and that pride in the history of New Bedford is something that I know the mayor carries forward, that we hope for all of our cities as we move forward in Massachusetts. So thank you, Teresa. We look forward to doing more projects like this. And John, I would just say sometimes that prosecutor stuff comes in handy because that's how we were able to go after Wall Street, recognize what they did, bring those cases, and get the funds back so we could exactly do projects like this.
Exactly.
So it is using all of our skills to move New Bedford forward. So
Absolutely.
thank you. And if anyone has questions, we have some time.
How many other homes in the city are being reactivated?
Pat, do you have the exact number?
And we have done 48 in New Bedford, and it goes back even before my time, but we have done 48, 37 of which we've been able to reach agreement. We have about 11 that are court involved. But we're going to continue to use funds that we did obtain from the settlement with Wall Street, working with Mayor Mitchell to identify. I think we just identified a new property in the neighborhood about a week ago. We're going to continue to do that. And you can see from what we've all said that it does take a team getting the title cleared, making sure that we look at the structure, is this an appropriate home, and then getting everybody involved in the project to get a final result as we see today.
So when you say 48, General, is that 48 under the homeownership initiative?
48 that have been part of our abandoned housing initiative. Not all of them have gone through this process, and that I'd leave up to the city, but total of 48 that had been abandoned, most often derelict, sometimes where the copper was stripped, people had used them for gangs sometimes use them. So getting these houses back suitable for either rental or home ownership is a big priority, and we've done 48, not all through this initiative, but we've used different models.
Let me add a couple of things, Bill. So the first-time home buyer program is the program through which this will ultimately be disposed, and that's been a city program that has dovetailed very well with the receivership program in the Attorney General's office. One of the big benefits and less heralded benefits of this program is that it has gotten, the threat of receivership has gotten a lot of landlords in the city to sit up straight and to reinvest in their properties. None of these landlords, even the most recalcitrant, want their properties taken away from them by the state. And so the very threat of that has forced many of them across the city to finally put money into the kinds of repairs that have been long overdue and that they've neglected. So that alone has a great impact, and it's we don't hold press conferences about such things, but that is a very real benefit.
And then these homes serve as a carrot, I think, to homeowners and others to say, oh, gee, you know, maybe we should spiff up the front of our house. It's a good investment. We've seen that not only in New Bedford, but across the state. You get a property like this, it's very attractive. Others start to say, well, maybe we should invest in the neighborhood too. So it's a little bit of the sticks, you know, we're going to foreclose if you don't do what you're supposed to do, but also carrots for people to say, gee, these are places and homes and neighborhoods that are worth investing in. So that's a good trend too that we've seen here, and we've seen it around the state. Well, interestingly, this program was started by my predecessor, Scott Harshbarger, and then carried through by Tom Riley. I am very proud to be the Attorney General for Massachusetts. The general is an adjective, by the way, even though sometimes we use it as title. And that is because we represent not only the government, but we represent the people of Massachusetts. So much of what we do is working on behalf of people, as we did bringing monies back from Wall Street because of what they left behind with the foreclosure crisis. And then we follow through. So we brought the suit, we get monies back, and then we use as our attorney powers representing people and working in the best interest of people and the people of New Bedford in this instance, saying, how can we use those monies to make sure that we help individual homeowners, but also help the city to get back on its feet, to get homes back on the tax roll? It is in many ways. In every neighborhood that we can bring back where it's occupied is going to be safer. We have found in many cities particularly that abandoned properties attract not only those who would strip it for copper, create health hazards, but also might be hangouts and where kids loiter, so it's a safety issue. But when we can get our neighborhoods back and people care about their neighborhoods, they care about their homes, that's one of our best crime fighting tools, actually.
Yeah, the program, Jim, complements well a lot of the other things that we're doing at the city level to restore order in neighborhoods, the little things that we notice at sort of a subconscious level, but are very real. I mean, the graffiti eradication program that we've really ramped up and have had great success with, frankly, the tree planting program, the whole trash initiative, the whole new trash program in the city, which is designed primarily to reduce litter on the street. I mean, all these things, and it could go on. We've talked about them a lot over the last couple of years, but it's all to restore a sense of order in community, so that people feel like their neighborhoods are worth preserving, that they feel a sense of ownership at an emotional level in their neighborhoods, and when they do, people tend to behave better. I mean, it's human nature. It's played out all over America that way, and it's playing out now in New Bedford.
I'm sorry, how much money was spent rehabbing the house? The construction budget for the house was about $215,000. It's got an appraisal value about $185,000, and it is there are restrictions as to who can apply for purchase of the property based on we're trying to reach the moderate income families in the community.
Last question.
Wondering, other than programs like this, what sort of housing policy changes would you put in to help communities like New Bedford that are struggling?
Sure. Well, one of the first things I will do as governor is encourage the next Attorney General to keep this program working, because it's a very successful one. But on top of that, I am very interested in making sure that we work with our local cities and towns and the surrounding areas as to how we can do the kind of provision for not just single-family housing, but affordable rental housing that makes sense for the growth and the development of New Bedford. As I've been investing in and believe we need to invest in the South Coast Rail, I want to make sure that we work with the communities on how we provide for the other infrastructure we need in our cities and towns, transportation within them, the building of new homes or rehabbing, and particularly the affordable housing market. The good news is that a lot of work and thought has gone into where we should be going, and I believe the next governor, and I will do this as next governor, work to connect those dots with how the state can be a good partner for that smart growth. For instance, one of the things that is music to my ears is this house is really energy efficient. So as we rehab and look at new buildings, we want to make sure those align with our goals in energy efficiency, ways to meet our goals in climate change, but also to make sure that people who live here, who want to stay here, are going to be able to find a place to live and stay. And as we bring businesses, we want to make sure that we protect those in the community who won't be displaced, so that we take advantage of what's here with housing that we can, but new buildings that should be able to address that, particularly that affordable housing issue for either rentals or for purchase. And I know the mayor has some plans, and I know a lot of the planning groups in this region, New Bedford, have some good ideas on that. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day. Take a look if you haven't seen it.